Hello, crafty friends, and welcome to my Crafty Tuesday live stream. My name is Alicia, but as always, you can call me Crafty Owl. And I'm so glad that you are here. If you are here with us live, make sure over in the chat box that you have the chat set to live chat, not top chat. And as you come in, let me know where you're watching from. If you are checking out the replay, thank you so much. I would love for you to let me know where you're watching from down in the comment section, and make sure to include the hashtag replay. This series is new, so it might be new to many of you. But what I'm going to do is every so often on a Tuesday, I'm going to come and share at least 2 new projects using the same product or tool. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of stuff just sitting around that I had to have or that was sent to me to use, and I've maybe used it once or not at all. So I want to get that out and use it in some different ways just to see how we can stretch those supplies. If you are crafting along with me, let me know over in the chat by maybe just saying crafting along, or crafting from my house or wherever. If you're just hanging out watching, that is cool too. I did have this banner scrolling across the bottom, so I just wanted to take a minute to point that out. So if you are here in the live chat, once I get started crafting and the way that the chat goes, I don't get to see every message while we're live. So if you need my attention, if it's a question specifically for me, please tag me by starting to type in @callmecraftyowl. And if you're on a desktop or like a laptop, it should give you the option to click on my name, and then it highlights it for me. That is the best way to get my attention. Now, if you can't do that, if you're watching from a mobile device, please put Alicia or Crafty Owl all in caps. And then when I can slow down to look at the chat, that's the first thing that I'm going to look for, just to kind of grab my attention. If you have a question and you're watching the replay, you can leave those down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. So I have some people watching from work here, so no crafting. Sorry, Barbara, but thank you for joining us. Please don't get in trouble like watching from work. We have Susan's at work too. Let's see, is anybody crafting along with us? I don't see anybody really quick there. Again, the comments kind of fly and I lose them. I want to go to overhead, and just while we wait for some people to come in, I want to give some updates about things on my channel in case you haven't seen them yet. Over here on the right is a look at the February 2024 SheetLoad of cards. And this month, Not Too Shabby sponsored my first set with their junior box of the month, which here is a little peek at it. It's a paper pad, a package of ephemera, and 2 stamps with look at all those rainbows. If you watch the process video, you can actually enter to win a junior box of the month for yourself. So I have the debut video, if you haven't yet downloaded the printable, and the process video linked in the description box below. Over on the left is a card that I created for a hop today, and this is hosted by LV Handcrafted, who is Lynn here on YouTube. It's just like a little casual collaborator hop between some of us Spellbinders influencers who we get sent stuff. And this is the card I created with the clear stamp and die of the month. I colored on the back of some vellum and blended it out with a blender pencil. And then I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little bit of cloud stenciling there in the background. So that video is also linked in that description box below. Forgot how to use my buttons. I did want to also give a special shout out to my channel members who are over in the chat. Their names are highlighted in a color and they have a little icon next to them. Thank you so much for your support. As always, you keep me creating here on YouTube, and SheetLoad of cards free for all. If you're ever interested in finding out what the perks of channel membership are, Nightbot will put a link here in a few minutes, or I always have a link in the description box. Let's see. I got any questions? All right. I love how you're all over there greeting each other. I love it. I think some of you have made some good friends in the chat, like between the Crafty Advent series and my other lives. I'd love to see that. Let's go ahead and take a look at what I'll be using today. It is some more Spellbinders products that I haven't got a chance to use. So I was sent this in January. It was part of their new release. Simon Hurley designed the stamps, and then they made the dies for the set. So this is called Beautiful Blooms, and they are beautiful. There are lots of pretty flowers, some butterflies, and sentiments to go with them. And then I also got the coordinating dies. If you want to check this out, I do have a link down in that description box when you're done here. I did mention that my purple card was part of a hop. Make sure that when you go to watch my video that you also hop along to see everybody else's. I am almost all the way through it. I have a couple videos left, and oh my gosh, there are some awesome cards that are being shared. All right, let's go ahead. So like the point of this series is, I'm going to create 2 cards today using these stamps and dies. Now, it might not always be cards. It might be bookmarks or tags or a little home decor project. But for today, I did plan some cards. For the first one, I am going to use, okay, this flower right up here. I have no idea what it is. If you were around for the Advent series, you know I have no idea what a flower is called or what color it should be. I just go with what feels good. So that's a stamp that I'll be using for this first one. And I'm going to stamp that onto a piece of, this is Express It blending paper, because I'm going to be using my OLO markers to do a little bit of simple coloring. So I want to go ahead and get started with this so it has time to dry before I start the coloring. So I always love to use my MISTI when I can, but I will be doing some free range stamping. There we go. Somebody knows the name. Thank you and welcome, Karen. And oh, I must have ink on my fingers. I got some ink on there, so I'm going to flip it over just so I don't get it in the area that I'm stamping. Not that I won't really be using this, but. And because I'm using OLO markers, which is a type of alcohol marker, I'm going to use Memento Tuxedo black ink. There isn't a whole, you'll notice once it gets stamped, there isn't a whole lot of area to color in. It's a pretty dense image with the ink that I'm stamping, but we will add a little color. And I'm going to ink it up just one more time to get a little bit more of a solid black. And because I'm using the MISTI, I can do that super easily. Oh, I'm not sure if that didn't shift because that's pretty dark. But we're going to go with it. So there you go. Not too much to color in. But like I said, I'm going to set this to the side for now because I do want to make sure that that ink does not run when I go to color it in. I will be using this same stamp again, but this time I'll be using it on a block. So let me get one of those out. And oh, I had a little craft-a-lanch. I pulled out my stamping pad and then 4 rolls of foam tape came with it. Oops. All right, so when I stamp without the MISTI and using clear stamps, I always like to have something behind it to help cushion it to get a better impression. So I will bring this in, and because the ink goes on here just like a stamp pad and it stays wet, I like to bring in a scrap of paper. Trying to dig in my recycle bin here. Everything's double-sided. All right. This is just, I always put my my misprints right there in my recycle bin to use for this. Now this way, when I stamp off the edge, the ink will go onto the paper and not onto the background and then get on my fingers and get all over everything. So this fits perfectly right on my largest stamp block. And thank you to Barbara for the reminder for your stamp of approval. If you're new here, that's just what I call giving the video a thumbs up, sharing it with a friend or family member, just helping me get to maybe new crafters who haven't watched me yet. Thank you, Barbara, for the reminder. Nightbot will also be reminding you of that as we go along in the live. For this one, so before I got started today, I stamped and cut some masks with my Scan and Cut because we're going to stamp a border of hydrangeas, I guess, or hydrangeas, if that's what they're called, across the bottom. And I want to make sure that, you know, the images don't get stamped over each other and look weird. So I did make some masks, and I'll pretty much only be like stamping the flower part of it, trying not so much to get the stems or the leaves. And I'm going to use cotton candy. We're going to see how this looks. So eventually, after I mask it, I'm going to do some ink blending around it in the same color. I'm really hoping this looks okay because I want the background to have some dimension and design, but I don't want it to overshadow the main focal flower that I stamped just like, you know, a minute ago. So I want it to be a little bit more muted, and I'm hoping this will work. So cross your fingers for me out there in the chat. One thing, I do not remember where I heard it from, but I could never remember when I was doing masking what to stamp so that it would layer correctly. And then someone once said, I don't know if it was a video or a blog post, that when you're masking, the front goes first. So whatever you want to be at the top level of your stamped piece, you're going to stamp first and then mask it. And whatever you put to the sides of it will look like it's behind it. So in case you ever have issues with that. So I want to do 4 across here, and I want to kind of raise them up and down. Now, because I only have one chance with this, I'm going to stamp it and hold it in place, letting that ink soak into that paper well before I lift it up. You know, because unlike with the Misty, I can't retry it again in that same exact spot. I don't think I would ever get it correct. All right, so here we go with that. And now I'm going to attempt to pull the backing off one of my mask pieces. This is Tailored Expressions masking paper, and it's newer, and it has a back you can peel off. And you can also keep using masks until like they're really no good anymore. So let's see if I can get this placed over where I want it. Okay, now I want to put 4 total, and I want one more that's kind of at the front with this first one. So I'm going to scoot down a little bit and stamp again. And I won't need the mask right now, but I went ahead and place it just so I don't forget. And you might have noticed with the last one, I did, oh, and I put it away. I brought in my chamois just to take the ink off the leaves in case it did get onto the card. It didn't, but just to be safe. So this one, I want to go off the edge to the right a little bit. So again, I'm going to place it down and hold it. Karen says she always tries to restamp with a block. Ask me how that goes. Oh, Karen, I'm sure a lot of us know, because before stamp positioning tools, we all had to try to do that. Not as easy, is it? I do have some of the products that I'm using down in the description box, but I didn't know exactly what I would be using until I got ready this morning. So after the live, I will add some more if you want to go check anything out. I'm used to the masking paper that's just on a roll, so I don't have the backer. Still getting used to peeling all that off. Adjust this just a little bit. I want to get it right at the edge, so when I do the ink blending, it goes up to that edge. All right, so here we go. We have our 2 images masked off, and when we take off all the masks later, these will be at the front of the little cluster across the bottom. Now for these next 2, I'm going to stamp over the masks that are there. And I'm going to move them down just a little bit on the card. Have them just a little bit lower. If you have never masked before, let me know over in the chat by putting a number 5 if this is the first time you've seen it done or you've never done it before. It's kind of like stenciling. The reveal at the end is just awesome, especially when you figure it out right with all your layering. And then this one, I'm going to try to get the same kind of height from the bottom. All right. Some people have never done it before. Well, maybe after today's live, we'll give it a try. Okay. Now, with masking, you don't always get right to the edges, even though you do press down kind of hard. You know what? That's okay. I think that just adds to the handmadeness of it. And now that I have all 4 stamped, I need to put on my additional masks. All right, some of you haven't done it, but you have seen it. Good. Oops, and I think I can, I'm going to turn this upside down. I think I can just see it a little bit better where the top is. Now there is a split on the back of the masking paper. So if you get your stamped image just right, then it peels off really easily. But my first few were not on that line. Okay. All right. So here we go. It's our card before we ink blend. And speaking of that, that's what we'll do next. Let me my husband texted me. I wanted to remind him that I have a live so he doesn't get worried about me. So thanks for letting me pause right there. I'm going to pause for a drink too. If you are coming in late, welcome. I am so glad that you're here. Make sure if you have a question specifically for me, to put Alicia all in caps or Crafty Al, or you can tag me. That's the easiest. And then when I stop like this, those will be the first comments I can kind of see and answer. Okay. Now we're going to do some ink blending over this piece. There we go. So these sheets are from Tailored Expressions, and it's just a big piece of paper with grids and some helpful lines. And I decided to laminate one because I have a laminator that does 12 by 18, and that way I can reuse this. But what I'm going to do first is put a little bit of adhesive on the back of this to help hold it in place. And just in case it moves, I'm going to put it in this upper left corner so I know, I guess it won't matter if it moves with what we're doing. Now, one thing I would have changed is I would have moved this one over so there wasn't any white in that corner. But you know what? When we're live streaming, we just make it work, right? If I was doing a video, I could edit that out and start back over. All right. Marilyn said she just did some masking a few weeks ago. Awesome. All right, now I'm going to use that same cotton candy ink. And I'm going to bring in my blue blender brush. And kind of starting right here at the edge, I'm just going to blend just a little bit to add some more color to this background. So I'm going to start where the mask is in case I get one of those big blobs of ink, you know, that you can't get rid of later. And I'm using circular motions, clockwise and counterclockwise, and just going right along that border. I want the most color to be concentrated right along the edge of the flowers. So I start there. And then I'll start kind of making my circles go up higher so it blends up into the white area at the top. Let me know your favorite techniques in card making over in the chat box or in the comment section. I love ink blending and stenciling, and you know I love to use pattern paper for sheet loads. Let me know some of your favorites. And down here, I'm going to go ahead and just blend that in blue just so there's not that great big white blob. And you can kind of look and see where you think you might need more ink. And go back in those areas. And I probably didn't need to tack that down. So here we are before, right? And you know, okay, what's so special about that? But now we're going to remove the masks. And again, I will be saving these. I'm going to put these masks right on the back of my stamp backer card because you can reuse these. And you'll see here, the flowers don't have any of that ink blending in the open areas because we masked those off. So set this to the side for now, and I'm going to bring back in my hydrangea on the Express It blending cardstock. All right, let's stop for some favorites. Paula says, ink blending would be a favorite if I was better at it. I guess stamping and coloring is my favorite. You know, Paula, I used to avoid ink blending too. And I say, just, I hope you'll try it some more and then maybe it will become your #1 favorite. I had a hard time starting with a light hand. You can always add more color, but it's hard to take it away. And I also know the inks that I use, like I started with Gina K inks mostly, and now I moved to Tailored Expressions. They start off looking kind of splotchy after you do your blending, but then they usually like mellow out and get nice and smooth. And then Teresa says using sketches is her favorite thing to do when making cards. Yes, Teresa does love a sketch. Thanks for being here, Teresa. All right, now I'm going to bring in the colors, which I pre-chose some. I have, let's see, B2.2 and B2.4 in an OLO marker. So I have a light end and a dark end that I put together. And I'm going to start, again, there isn't a whole lot of area for difference here, but I'm going to start by using that darker marker kind of around the center of my flowers. And then I'll blend out into the other areas with the light end. With OLOs, you won't keep putting the caps on and taking them off. You just leave them off because since this is not a full marker, there's nowhere for that air to go if you keep capping and recapping them. And you'll learn the hard way that you might open one up after that and you get like this huge splotch of color on your beautiful image that you just colored. So again, I'm just going to kind of go around the center of these. And I am by no means a master colorist. I have mentioned many times it's not my favorite thing to do, but I have been enjoying my OLOs and trying to color more. I do a lot of like spotlight or selective coloring where I might not color a whole image. Just makes it easier for me. And I prefer images that are more cartoony or small, so I don't have to try to color them in and look real. If you enjoy coloring, let us know what your favorites are. And now I'm just going to kind of put some of this dark blue where I think there might be some shadows. Again, I really don't know what I'm doing here with this. There's a lot of black, but here you see the start of my blue. And now I'm going to just turn my marker around and just color that into the rest of the flower. Just move that color so all of our flowers have a little bit of blue to them. And again, I just color flowers whatever comes to me. So not sure if there's blue hydrangeas or not. Now my mom, she definitely would have known. She loved to garden and point out all the flowers when we were out somewhere and what they were. Oh, I forgot to get out browns for the stem. I will have to do that. So there, I think the color's pretty well spread out. So now I'm going to go back in with the dark end and just add in some more shadows. Just a few. What are your favorite markers to color with? I used to have Copics, and I ended up giving those to my daughter because they became too much for me. And I did Spectrum Noir Tri-Blends for a while. And then I learned about OLOs, and for Christmas, I got the full set. So I've been using those. All right, for my leaf, I have kind of the same thing, a light and a dark. So this does not have much area to color. So I think maybe I'll just kind of go along the center line with my dark. And, oh, no, don't want to recap it. And then just kind of blend that out to the edges with my lighter green. Again, there's not much to see here. Oh, got to make sure. The only thing, oh yeah, got the right caps on. The only thing is you have to, because the markers aren't the same color at each end, they're actually two separate markers that I just put together. You always have to watch what caps you put on. Oh, a couple of you have mentioned these Ohuhus. So last, maybe summer, my daughter and I went together to buy a big set of Ohuhus on Amazon, and she really loved them. I still have not gotten a chance to even play with them. They're still up in her room, but I have heard very good things about those. So now you kind of see how I keep mine. These are all, let me zoom out here. So like I said, these are all half markers. So a lot of marker storage is not made for these. So I looked to see what I could find on Amazon that would hold them. And they don't sit in here perfectly. I got like, I got this big refrigerator tray. And then these go inside of it, which these, I just happen to get lucky. Look how tight those are in there. They really like push down in there so they don't move. So I just set those in there. Again, they don't sit perfectly. They're kind of wobbly, but I can keep them all in one place and I can see all of my colors. So I think I'll go with OR 3.4 and OR 3.7. And I will just keep these separate. I won't get out a connector, but I do have more connectors if I wanted to. So I'm going to start with the dark. Kind of come in from underneath the flower. And then blend the rest of that down the stem. I did get a little outside of the line here. So just like with Copic markers, they have a colorless blender, which isn't really a blender, you know, it's just kind of an eraser. And I'm going to, even though we're going to die cut that, I am going to try to push some of that back into that area. And here we have our, this very, very basic coloring here. We will cut that out in just a second here. I'm gonna pause, see if we got any questions. All right. Sorry, had to look something up. If you haven't yet given me your stamp of approval, I would love for you to do that. Click on the like button below the video. Maybe share it with a crafty friend. And now I'm done with this. I'm going to put my lids back on. And now I'm going to bring in, find them, my coordinating dies. This was a huge die set. I couldn't fit everything on one card. So let's see if I can find the correct die. I think it might be this one. No, way too, oh, this one. There we go. I thought that one looked too big, but I wasn't seeing this. So now you always know I like to use my Scotch removable tape to hold my dies in place. I'm just going to try to get a nice white border around that with the die. Oops. Easier said than done here. Okay, then once I have it where I like it, I'm just going to put a piece of removable tape on a couple different sides. And I'll bring it over here to my die cutter. I'm just going to leave this off to the side for now. Oh, Paula, hold on. I think we got a couple Paulas in here, so I'll highlight this one. Paula says, Arteza watercolor and also colored pencils and Gamsols are the one I use. Don't have any Copics yet. I just used in my video earlier today where I showed the purple card, I used the Arteza watercolor pencils and I talked about their regular colored pencils. I do really like those. All right. So that is die cut. So we have our little flower. Let me know. So a lot of people don't like the white border. Let me know in the comments, are you a fan or not a fan of when you get the white border? I personally love it. I think it helps stuff stand out from the back. But now if you're masking, you don't want the white border. And that's why I had to use my scan and cut to cut the masks for the stamping because I didn't want that extra white area left outside of it. Okay, I see I'm not a fan. I see some people prefer it. Awesome. And now this tape that I use to hold this is still good. I can still reuse that. I just usually stick it right onto my die cutter. Sandra had a question. Sandra says, is it because there's a liquid in the OLO that we can store vertically? You know, I don't even know how they're supposed to be stored, but I know my daughter got a special storage box, but you had to have them clipped together because it was really tall and they were stored vertically. I mean, I'm sure you could turn the box on your side, but yes, the OLO markers do work in a different way. And I'm hoping that Lori Craig is going to be able to come on one time with us live and explain all about them because she is an OLO expert. But yeah, I don't think it really matters because it is a free flowing liquid within that marker. Thank you for putting that question in front of your comment. It was easy for me to see. All right, so now we'll set this to the side just for now, though, because we'll be using it. Oops. And I'm going to bring back in the piece that we ink blended, which I will be adding this just flat down onto a card base, which I already pre-cut and folded. I cut my piece of white cardstock that I ink blended onto before we went on camera, and this is 5 inches by 3 3/4. And now what I want to do, oh, I should have kept that die out. I forgot. This is probably more time than I should take, but I want to pop this flower up, and it's going to be hard to get, foam tape behind some of these little bits. So I just brought in some scraps I had of white cardstock, and I'm going to cut a few of those so we can layer that and get some dimension on the back side of it. So quickly, I'm using that same die as before. I'm going to run it through my die cutter. I see you're sharing some of your favorite marker, the tips you like, not like pointers, but like if you like brush or chisel. Sorry, everything's kind of shaking over here. Thank you, Shelley. All right, now we have our 4 white copies of our die cut flower. And now this will take a little bit using Barely Art glue, which shout out to Karen in the chat. She sent me this for my birthday last year. And I'm just going to put glue on the top of this one, not getting too close to the edges so it can have room to spread out. And then I'm going to bring in another white copy and just set that on top. And now because it is liquid adhesive, I will have a little bit of time to get that lined up. It's not going to be perfect because nothing ever is, but it gets as close as I can. Now, once I'm done with my 2 projects today, I will be giving one of them away. So I hope that you'll stay with us to get entered to win. You do have to be present for that. I'll be giving it away live. Welcome, Card Craze. Glad you made it. These are kind of looking like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I think I'm doing too much talking and not enough paying attention when I line them up. So, but again, it's a craft, right? And then finally, once I have those together, I'm going to add my stamped and colored copy on the top. And now we have it lifted up, but we haven't had to try to get foam tape in those really little skinny parts. If you are enjoying today's stream and you have not given me a thumbs up yet, I would love your stamp of approval. Just click on that thumbs up button below the video. Yay. GG1 last live. Awesome. Glad you like the card. So there we go. And you see it has kind of like we cut it out of foam. It has a few layers. Now, before I put that on the front, you know what? I thought one of my pieces of white cardstock was cut too perfectly. Yeah, here it is. I had cut this out and slipped it inside my card base because that's what I want to go inside. But before I do that, I want to decorate that just a little bit. I'm going to bring back in the same stamp. Oh, no. Oh, look, it was already on the block. Awesome. And I'm going to ink that up with the cotton candy. And stamp it into one of the corners. I'm not sure. Okay, I think I want to do this side and just tilt it a little bit, just to have some decoration on the inside. There we go. If you'd like to decorate the inside, let me know. Put a number 2 over there in the chat, or you can leave a comment below if you're on replay. And speaking of the chat, now if you do want to be entered to win the card at the end of the video, and you're here with us live, you do have to be a subscriber to be over in the chat. That just helps me with I don't then have to watch the chat very closely when I know you're all subscribers. It just helps with moderation. So if you are here and you're not a subscriber, click on that subscribe button below so that you can join us for that giveaway. Yay, I see a few of you like to finish off the inside of your cards. Awesome. I did not plan ahead what like sentiment I wanted to do. So hopefully I can figure that out here in a little bit. And now I'm just going to glue that down over those. And then we'll bring in that stamp set and try to figure out a good sentiment. Thank you, Polly. And I want another stamp block. I'm going to set that to the side and let it dry for a minute while we figure out what sentiment we want. Maybe we'll do a little poll on this one. And to answer the poll, you also need to be subscribed. So let's take a look again at our stamp set. Have hello, friend, thinking of you, hugs. Just a note, you are beautiful. Believe in yourself. I love you. Then down here, like flowers, friendships bloom and grow more beautiful with time. Now, I prefer to make a card that I can send for a lot of different occasions. I mean, it is always great to have like specific cards in your stash, but I want more of a general one. So I think today it'll be between hello, friend, and thinking of you. So I'm going to start a poll. Should I do hello, friend, or thinking of you? All right. So I'll give you 2 minutes to answer that poll. Which do you prefer? So to get your vote in, you need to make sure that you do it on the poll and not by a comment. This way I don't have to, it's really, oh, I'm not on the right one. Sorry, I cannot. Oh goodness, I've lost my mouse. All right. I used to try to be like, oh, let me know what you prefer, and then just have you type it over in the comments, but I would never be able to actually like count those. So now with the poll, it counts them up for me. So we'll stick with that. Oh, I think my mouse battery just died. That's why I couldn't get to where I wanted it. All right. So let me go with those two at the top. Now, this set did not come with dies to cut out the sentiment. So I'll have to think about what we're going to do for that. All right, we have about another minute to get your poll in. Right now, thinking of you is winning. Cece says, thanks everyone for the advice and encouragement. Cece, I have not heard I've not seen what you've all been talking about, but one of the things that I love about my community and my chat box is that you guys are always so friendly to each other and kind. You understand when I make a little oops, and then you help each other out. I love that. Pat has a question. Did you tell us where we could get the 4 tight holders for your alcohol markers? Pat, I did not, because I don't know how many of you have OLOs, and because those are, they're very tight on those. Like, I don't think they're going to fit your Copics. I can add those if anybody is interested, but keep in mind they might not fit bigger markers. They do fit these just perfectly, but I can add those when I go in afterward and do the supplies. Thanks for checking on that. All right. Let's find out what the winner is. Okay. Oh, it changed right as I went to end poll. I mean, the winner didn't change, but the percentage did. So with 77 to 22, thinking of you, won our sentiment. Is the winner of our sentiment. So now what I like to do, if I don't know where I want it to go, I can bring in my stamp set, which has that clear backer, and just kind of move it around and see what I think. I think I'll kind of maybe just stamp. Oh, guys. So I won't be able to stamp it right onto the card base because I have that raised flower right next to it. Should I try it? Let me see. Let me see if the stamp is thicker than the flower. Oh, see, I knew there was a reason I should have waited to put my flower on there. But you know what? It's one of those, and we just move on, right? You know, I think we might be okay. I think it's a little bit taller than that. So we're going to cross our fingers and give it a go. Audrey says that she got her color cubes yesterday, but haven't had time to open them yet. Oh, Audrey, I hope that you'll be able to open those and use them soon. I love color cubes, if you don't know. I have a few videos on my channel and some lives where I've used them. They're very fun for me when I need to help picking out a color combo. Okay. All right, people. We're gonna give it a try, right? I mean, if all else fails, I'll stamp it on a piece of white and fussy cut it and put it over this. But all right, just trying to make sure I have it kind of straight on there. Pick it up, and just to make sure it stands out, I am going to go ahead and stamp it in the black ink. So that was Memento that I used for my flower. Probably, this is a new stamp, so I probably should not have went direct to inking it up. I should have removed some of those oils with my fingers. Stephanie says you can add a shim inside the card in that area, but it could still be hit and miss. That is a good suggestion, but since you said hit and miss, I think I'll just cross my fingers and go to it. Maybe I'll try that sometime when I'm not on a live to see if it works better, because that does make sense if you raise that area up a little bit. So I want to make sure my card's where I want it. And I'm probably going to have to stamp this twice. So, ooh, Judy got her color cubes today. Awesome, guys. Oh, Trina just got her color cubes. Love it. Early birthday present. That is a birthday present. Okay, that doesn't look too awful. So I'm going to ink that up and stamp it again just to get a nice solid black. All right. Okay. There we go, guys. It worked. Now I want a little sparkle on there. So I'm going to grab the thing that's closest to me and easiest to find. Maybe. And that is just these sequins. These are from Cartwright, and they are clear iridescent, and they're 4 millimeters, so they're pretty tiny. I just like these kind of pick up whatever color is around them. You know, they shine green or blue or purple or whatever you kind of need. It seems like pink. And now, find. Uh-oh. I had my little glue dots out, and now I've lost them. Oh. All right, so here I just keep my extra glue dots from paper pumpkin kits. You could definitely use liquid glue on this, but sometimes it's quicker when you just have these because you don't have to wait for them to dry. Sandy says, Alicia, how do you pick out which black to use for a project? So I am not the best person to ask this, but I do know that if you're using alcohol markers, that you use Memento. So alcohol markers, Memento, because that won't bleed. Now, I know that there are other inks out there that also don't bleed with alcohol markers, but that's what I have. If I have a sentiment, I would usually use a VersaFine because it's, you know, easy for detail, but I already have the Memento out, so I just use it for this sentiment. Feel free in the comments, anybody, to share tips with her. All right, so now what I'm going to do, I like to do odd amounts of embellishments on the front, and usually I kind of like, you know, sprinkle them down from one corner down to the opposite one. So I'm just going to go in and just randomly put some glue dots where I want a sequin to go. Sometimes figuring out where to put your sequins or your enamel dots is the hardest. Let me know if you agree. I see a lot of you asking about the color cubes. I do have links in all of my Crafty Advent series videos about it. And I can add it to this video after the live too. But I know there are lots of, you know, sites out there where you can get color palettes. I love having these physical cards because what I do a lot of times is I will use a random number generator, pick a number between 1 and 500, and then make myself use that on whatever card I was going to make. And sometimes I start out and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to look awful. And then I kind of force myself since that was my idea. And then it ends up looking so nice. So here we go. This card is all done. I'll show you quickly. So I have both of the color cubes. I think one is like $47 and two, if you get both, is like $67 or something like that. Don't quote me, but I did get both. And so inside I'll take from the front just so I know how to put them back, are cards with different pictures, and then they show you the colors in that picture, and you know it goes together well because of these. Also on the back, there are always kind of names. Like if you're not sure what one color is, then you can kind of look at these. And what I do, I don't have, of course, cardstocks that exactly match all of these colors. So I find something that's close. And if my card would only need 4 colors, and the color cube card gives me 5 colors, then I would just maybe leave off one that I didn't have. But I always select one, and then I bring in my cardstock ring and find the best match. And usually if you get close, they look good. I used those on my very first Crafty Tuesday, and down in the description box below, I have a link to the playlist, which will include that very first Crafty Tuesday, so you can kind of see how I use them. Oh, here, Sandra. Sandra went out and did a little reconnaissance for us. Thank you. $40 each, or both for $67. Thank you. I knew it was somewhere around there. Thank you so much. All right. All right, here we go. Let's take one last look at our first card, and then we will get started on our second. If you are joining us or joined us after I got to say hellos, welcome. I'm getting ready to make the second project for my Crafty Tuesday live stream. So you're not too late at all. If you just arrived, you'll still get to see me make that second card. For the second one, first of all, let me kind of clean up some of the stuff that can get lost. Maybe. I'm going to put my sequins back in here just so I don't spill them. And I'm going to have a hot mess here later, but I'm going to bring in the stuff for my next card. Hopefully this is all the right stuff. So for this one, here's a look at what I got out. So I have 2 pieces of cardstock here. Oh, that's right. This is just like a plain card base with kind of a thinner white cardstock, and you'll find out why later. And then I have a piece of Strathmore Bristol Smooth because I'm going to be doing a little bit of coloring with Zig Clean color markers. I did pre-choose a blue and a green, and then I got out my colorless blender to blend that out. Now, if you don't have a colorless blender, you can always use a brush with water or a water brush. And also what I have found is very neat, you can use the Spectrum Noir sparkle pens to blend out, and then it adds extra sparkle. But for today, we're going to stick with the colorless blender unless it runs out, because I have had to get a few of these, and this one is getting kind of old, so it might be dry. I'm going to be doing some heat embossing, so I got out Versamark ink for that. And, oh, I got out white embossing powder. I meant to get silver. I'll have to switch that out. But then I also got out a powder tool. So the embossing powder will only stick to where I want it. And here is my silver. Now, the reason I got out silver for this is because I'm going to be making my own envelope. And I got this piece of paper out with kind of that watercolor look. And then it has some metallic silver in there. I'll show you which pad this was. I don't know if they have it anymore, but it is from Michael's, their Recollections collection, and it is just gorgeous. So they have a lot of, some are just like plain colors, maybe a little ombre, but then they have those watercolors with the little bits of silver. So you might want to look if your Michael's still has that. But we're going to set that to the side for now and bring this back in, which I did not take my stamp off, and we are going to stamp and heat emboss a flower, which I think I know which one I want to do. Yay, Susan has that paper pad. Awesome. I only bought one. I probably should have bought a couple because, yes, as Susan says, oh, I can't get over. Oh, I forgot my mouse died. It is on the older side, so they may not have it anymore. If you want to look for it, if you do want to look at it for it on their website, it's called Ink Splatter. Okay. Gotta make sure that oh, I thought I lost my piece of Strathmore Bristol Smooth. So I'm going to bring that in. And I think for this, I'm going to go with this flower, which I think I might know what it is. I think this is a rose. Let me know. That one I might have. And the surprise with this one is we're going to make a shaped card with a coordinating envelope. So when we die cut it later, it will be the shape of the flower. All right, now I am going to wipe off those oils. Good. I finally got one. Yay. I can probably pick out like a rose, a tulip, and an iris. Those are probably the ones I could figure out. Okay, now I'm going to use the powder tool, and I'm just going to rub it over the area where the stamp is. And this just takes the static off so that when I go to put the embossing powder on later, it only sticks to where I want it. I use Versamark ink when I heat emboss, but I know that there are other embossing inks out there. I am going to stamp this twice because I always feel like my Versamark pad is not juicy enough. So I'm going to ink it up and stamp it twice. All right, while that's sitting there, I'm going to pull in my tray. And you can't really see it, but that image is actually stamped on that piece of cardstock. And I like to use this tray for my excess powder because it's always there. And I've tried like coffee filters and folded pieces of paper, and I can never seem to get it to work like I've seen so many people who love it and use it. But I just tap my excess off into this tray. And now it has a little cap down here that I unscrew, and I can just tap the back into the jar. I just started years ago using a tray like this, so I'm just so used to it. Audrey, the name of that is Ink Splatter. Now, I don't like it when my mouse won't work. I'm going to turn off the volume because I'm going to be turning on my heat tool. I'm going to tell you though what I do ahead of time just so you're aware. So I always like to let this heat up for about 30 seconds before I bring it to my paper. And then I like to start heating from underneath. And this is just so if there's any loose powder on the front, this won't blow it around. It will start the heating process. And I also feel that if you heat from the bottom and the top, that it doesn't warp the paper as much. So I'll let you see the process, but I will be turning the mic off, so I wanted to let you know. All right, so there we have that. If you love heat embossing, give this a video thumbs up if you haven't already. Oh my goodness. It's always been one of my favorites. I would like to give, oh, I keep forgetting it doesn't work. Welcome to Johnyelle. Johnyelle, I have been thinking of you so much lately. I hope that you and your family and your loved ones are doing okay. And I'm glad that you were able to catch a live. All right. Hold on, I got a question here. Julia said she bought a similar tool for her embossing powder, but stopped using it because of the static, and it caused to go everywhere but back into the container. Are you talking about that funnel tray? I have had some people suggest wiping it with like a dryer sheet if you have one to get rid of some of the static, or you can use your powder tool in it before you put your excess embossing powder, and then this should take away the static too. I would try one of those two things and hopefully one of them will work. All right. Now, I'm going to zoom in a little bit to this, and we will get out our zigs. I chose 31 cobalt blue for the blue and 47 May green for the green. And again, I forgot to get something out for the stem, so we'll do that later. Now, this is kind of hard to see with the embossing because it's shiny, but again, I'm going to try to go into some of the areas where I think it might be darker and add my blue there first. And there is a lot of embossed areas here, so there's not going to be a whole lot of color. But now once I've laid that down, I'm going to bring in my colorless blender, and I'm just going to go where those areas are and start blending out. Now, if you ever think you've gotten too much color on this, that it's just as dark when you blend out as where you started, just wipe it off to the side until it becomes clear again. And then you can go back in. As long as you're using the correct paper and blending tool, zigs are so easy and fun to use. You could see it better if it was in more of an open area, but they give like kind of a watercolor effect. It's very hard to see on this flower that they do that. Now, because I did heat emboss, some of the zig is sitting on top of the embossing powder. So we will go in later and wipe that off. And as I'm coloring this, I know we decided it was a rose. I really doubt, well, there are any roses out there this color. But again, I just whatever color fits my fancy for the day. So for this, normally I would bring in my tea towel if I had to wipe up ink, but because I don't want to really wipe this into other areas of the flower, I'm going to take just a paper towel, put it on top, and press down. You don't really want to wipe and then move that ink where you don't want it. So you'll see there it took off some from the top of the embossing. And you can see there's some areas that are a little darker. Again, there wasn't much area to color, but just quick and easy. And we'll give that time to dry. Oh, should have probably kept that. And now, since I'm changing colors, I definitely need to get all the color off my blender. And we'll go in and do the leaves. Again, not a whole lot to color here. Or area that's open, but we know I added color. You might want to, like if you're going to die cut this, especially on something like a scan and cut, you might want to wipe your excess ink off on another piece of cardstock so your scan and cut doesn't see all of these, you know, little areas over here where I've colored off to get my blender clean. And if you need to like move it to kind of see where you've colored, but since I'm die cutting this, it's okay. With the embossing, it kind of helps me stay in the lines, even though I do see a couple places where I got outside of them. Sorry, I got out of frame there. But again, just because that ink sits on top of the embossing, you want to take that off carefully. And now I'll try to get a brown. So here's a look at my Zig collection. I have the 80 pack, which at the time I think was all the colors they have, but I know they have added some now. And I have my little cheat sheet here, what colors I have. I think I'll go with 65 mild brown for my stems. I want something that's a little lighter. Don't forget, if you are just joining us, if you need my attention specifically, to put my name or in all caps, Crafty Al or Alicia, or you can tag me by typing in @callmecraftyal and it will highlight my name for me. But I think that's just if you're on like a laptop or a desktop. Now, for the stem, I think I'm just going to put some color at the top and use my blender to pull that down to the rest of the stem. Okay, it didn't quite pull down all the way, so maybe I'll come in from the bottom with a little darker brown and pull that up. I guess you would have seen me when I did the process video for this month's sheet load of cards. I use Zig markers on my rainbows. Okay. And now we have that colored quick and easy. You're right. It does. Yeah, this does say limited time only. Now, I did buy this at mine. Now, with COVID, my years are all messed up. But I know that I probably bought this within the last 3 years. I haven't had it very long. But yeah, it does say limited time. Maybe they had it limited time a couple different times. It is a beautiful pad. They should definitely always carry it. All right, so now let's see what we got to figure out what we got to do. Okay, so we need the die for the rose, which is this it? Yes. I'm going to use those same 2 pieces of removable tape that I just put over on my die cutter. And try to get this. This is always like the hardest part, trying to get these lined up. Now, one thing you can always do is cut this out of another piece of cardstock and then line it up around it and use it as a jig. But we're just going to try to get it all done at one time here. Happy Tuesday, Lisa. Crafty Days, who just joined the chat, is my sister. I'm going to give her a hello. Howdy, hi. We're just working on the second card of my Crafty Tuesday. And again, if you want to go back and watch previous or future videos for this, I do have a playlist link in the description box below. Now, while I have my die out, so here's what my rose turned out like. While I have my die out, I'm going to bring in that top fold card base that I showed you earlier. And remember, I said that I use my, let's see, I think I make my card bases out of 80-pound white, no, sorry, out of 110-pound white cardstock. And this is 80-pound. And that's just because I'm going to make a shaped card base out of this, which means this die has to go through 2 layers of cardstock. And since this is going to be on the front, it's going to add a little bit more weight to it. So I am using a little bit lighter to make it easier for my die cutter and my die to get through. And you can figure out, you just want to put it so some of the top overhangs so you still have a fold. And you can kind of figure out how you like, what angle you would like it at. I think I'll go like that. And you'll see here, maybe on the back, it's easier to see my overhang. So I'm just going to tape that in place. And now I'm going to go make my card base. I'm going to go ahead and run it through forward and backward. Hopefully we'll get through both layers. So here you'll see. Oh, I had some little paper scraps left over on my die cutting machine. So now we have a card base here. Oops. It's really squished together. And you'll see here that it will open like a card. So, this would be something for like a present or a little note. You're not going to write a whole bunch, like a note to a friend on this, but just a cute, different way to use this. And now I'm going to add my colored flower to the top of this. I'm going to make sure I get every glue wherever I need on all the stems so nothing lifts up on this one, since it will be handled a lot. Well, maybe not a lot, right? But you know what I'm saying. It'll be open and closed. Not like on that first card where it just, is sitting on the front of a card. So line it up as best as you can there with the backer. And let that sit for a minute. And then here we go. So really, you can do this with any stamps you have that have coordinating dies, and it's just fun and unique, just a different way to use them. So now we're going to make, hopefully, cross our fingers, we're going to make an envelope to put this in. So move some of this stuff out of the way. I have got a mess here, you guys. Move some of this out of the way. And then this will be the paper that I'm making the envelope out of. And I chose this because it matched, it matches the blue in my rose a little bit. So what we have to do now is we have to measure this to know how big we need our envelope to be. So I'm going to use, I could use this grid, but it might be hard for you to see because you can't see the inch markings. So I will bring in my trimmer, and so this is about 3 1/8 inches tall. So I want to write this down. So 3 1/8 inches tall by 2 1/2 inches wide. Now, this might not be something that is on our envelope punch board, and I've shared this a lot in the past, but let me get my phone open. Sorry, I got to find the app. So I have in the crafting section of my phone, I have EPB, which is envelope punch board. So this is going to help you make custom size envelopes. And in my settings, why can't I get out of there? In my settings, I have it set to add a margin. So it will make the envelope big enough that this could fit in it. All right. And now we're going to type in that we want our envelope length to be 3 1/8. All right. And we want our envelope width to be 2 1/2. And again, it's going to automatically add any margin we need. All right. So once we have those in up there, it's going to give us our paper size, which is 5 inches. And the first punch is at 2 3/4. So if you've used an envelope punch board before, that's going to kind of make sense to you. But the first thing I'm going to do, we need to cut a square of paper from this piece that is 5 inches by 5 inches. Oh, Helga's in the hospital. Helga, we will all be keeping you in our thoughts and prayers. Hope you get better soon, friend. So this is where you can decide what area of this paper you would want your envelope to use. I think I'm just going to do it easy and just start from one corner. So I'm going to do the bottom right. I'm going to cut a 5 by 5 inch square. Julia, that app, you would have to see, if you search for envelope punch board, you can see if it's for Android too. I know I've had people in the past tell me, but I cannot remember. So here we have our 5 inch square. And bring back in the envelope punch board and revisit the app, which said our first punch is at 2 3/4. The app is called Envelope Punch Board. It just shows this is it right here. So if you search on your app store, it has the initials EPB. Oh, there you go. Audrey just put one here. Audrey says on her Android, she has a box/envelope calculator. Thank you, Audrey. So maybe try searching for that too if you have an Android. Okay, now my first punch was at 2 3/4. So I'm going to line up this edge with the 2 3/4 mark and punch it. Get out the bone folder that comes with it. And there is a little groove right here that if you put your bone folder up there, it's going to get you a score line. Now, when you rotate it 90 degrees, you're not going to go back to that 2 3/4. Instead, there's this little piece right here that you need to line up, which it's hard to see, with that score line. See how that made a score? It needs to line up with that, okay? So I'm going to I actually need to move this a little bit. So there, now that goes right along that score. So I'm going to punch it again. And score. And then you just keep turning, lining up that groove, which again, you might have to do a little moving until all 4 edges or all 4 corners are complete. I will add a color cube link to the description box at the end of this video. Otherwise, you can check out down below now is a link to the playlist. And on the first Crafty Tuesday video, I am pretty sure I use the color cubes. But on any of the Crafty Advent live videos I have on my channel, it is in the description box. I didn't know I'd be talking about it today, or I would have went ahead and put it in there. All right. So here you can see better. See how there's like a little groove line. Now, to make it look more like an envelope, we want to round those corners. So you put it at the top of your envelope punch board. And there you see a rounded corner. Just do all 4 of those. Need to re-punch that one. All right, so now we have that all done. And we make an envelope here now in no time. So I go ahead, just fold these back on those score lines. Yes, Kristen, having the app makes it so handy with that envelope punch board because you can make envelopes any size you want. So for this, we're just going to fold in 3 of the edges. And I'm going to use liquid glue here. We'll tack those 2 together where they meet. And then I'm going to do a line for this top part. I'm going to get a little ways out from those edges just so it stays well, but not too far where it smushes out. And then just press that in place and hold it. Bye, Helga. Hope you get to feeling better soon. All right. I guess I should have maybe made sure that my rows would fit in here. I will tell you, the envelope punch board isn't always exact or correct. Sometimes what I'll do, like if I really want to make sure the envelope's the right size before I use my good paper, I'll just get a piece of recycled paper out of my recycle bin, like a leftover printed paper, and I will cut it and try that first just to make sure it fits. Probably should have done that on this card, but you know what? Live and learn, right? I think we'll make it fit in there. Let's everybody cross your fingers. Are we ready to see if it'll fit? So now, oh, it does. Look at that. Now you have this cute little shaped card and a custom envelope to go with it. So get back in the first one. So here are the 2 cards that we made together today. Thank you so much for being here and helping me. And now, guys, it's time to give them away. So I will draw one name, which I'll tell you how to enter here in just a minute. And then you can select if you want the full size A2 card or if you would like the shaped card with the envelope. All right. So what you'll need to do, let me get this ready. Now I don't have a mouse. It's a little bit harder. I want you in the chat box one time. You are going to type in #Tuesday. Now that is spelled a little bit unique, as you'll see on screen. Your comment must look exactly like it does. So #TWOsday. Type it only once over on the chat, no spaces, and I'll give you 2 minutes to get your entry in. So #TWOsday. Now, if you do type it in, oh, I didn't mean to go that far. Sorry. If you do type it in incorrectly and you notice that, type it in correctly again. You are not trying to break the rules or anything. Get that one entry in there. Get it typed in correctly. So definitely, if you've been watching this whole time, you deserve an entry into this. And yes, if you won last time, like Gigi said, she's going to pass this time. You're free to do that. You're free to enter, but that is always kind to kind of share the love. I like that. Thank you. Thank you, Gloria, which was my mom's name. So I love that name. All right. And I don't know. Can I do this? Oh, there we go. Oh, no, that's not what I meant to do. Sorry. I was hoping I could like make that screen a little bit smaller and make like one of these bigger, but we'll wait until the timer, which you have about 55 seconds. If you haven't yet gotten a chance to give this video your stamp of approval, I have, 82 likes, guys. That is awesome. If you haven't yet clicked on that thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. Let's see. So far we have 37 entries, and it will keep going up. You can be US or international for this giveaway. I will ship worldwide. I won't be going back. Let's see. Well, maybe this weekend I'll be going to the post office. All right. Oh, that's it. Time is up to get your entries in. So let's go ahead, go over to the giveaway tool. We'll make sure that it has stopped. And we have 38 entries. Yeah, let's go ahead and draw. Now, even though you have an entry, your name might not show up on screen, but everybody is entered. And congratulations goes to Julia S. Congratulations, Julia. Now I need to tell you how you can claim your card. Oh, wait. First, Julia, let me know over in the chat if you want the shaped card or the A2 card. And since you are the lucky winner, in the description box below is a link to a Google form that you will need to fill out to claim it. So I won't have a way to reach out to you, so you need to make sure you fill that out. If I were you, I would probably do it right after this live stream so it's all taken care of. And I think you'll actually tell me too in there which one you want. But just to make sure you're still here, I mean, I know which card you want. I'll put a little note on it. So you gotta go look, Julia S. So I'll write your name on here. Okay, she wants the A2 card. All right. Oh, sorry. All right. Well, guys, again, thank you so much to everybody who was here, especially if you were here the whole time. It has been, what did I just see, like an hour and a half or something. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have to go back and watch the beginning, if you got it here a little late, make sure if you do have any questions on that to leave them in the comment section below. And guys, until my next Crafty Tuesday, I hope you're having a crafty day. Bye-bye.